Have you ever closed your eyes in the deep, undisturbed silence of the night and wondered where your thoughts actually come from? It is a question that seems so simple on the surface, yet it holds the power to unravel everything we think we know about reality. As you lie there, breathing in the quiet calm of the dark, you can hear that inner voice narrating your existence. It feels entirely your own, enclosed securely within the physical boundaries of your skull, separate from the ancient, infinite expanse of the universe outside your window. But what if this feeling of separation is nothing more than an illusion? What if the mind that you consider so intimately yours is actually tethered to the very fabric of the cosmos, connected to a vast underlying network of awareness that some might call the mind of God? This is not a mystical fantasy or a dramatic piece of storytelling. This is the profound mystery at the absolute frontier of modern physics and neuroscience. A journey into the quantum nature of consciousness that will challenge your deepest assumptions about who and what you are. To begin this gentle journey of discovery, we must first confront the sheer scale of the reality we inhabit, stepping outside the comfortable confines of our everyday perception. We live on a crowded planet, surrounded by billions of other people, accustomed to density and to things being close together. We are used to a world that feels full and solid. But when you step outside our small solar system, emptiness becomes the absolute rule. The space between stars in the Milky Way is almost unimaginably empty. Stars are separated by such vast gulfs that the chance of any two of them colliding by accident is essentially zero. When you look up at the night sky from a dark location, that hazy band of light stretching overhead is actually the combined glow of billions upon billions of distant stars in our own galaxy. For most of human history, we assumed that was everything, believing in our innocent wonder that our galaxy was the entire universe. But the cosmos is far more expansive and magnificent than our ancestors could have ever dreamed. Today, we estimate that there are around 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion is a 2 followed by 12 zeros, a number so large that our minds simply cannot hold its true weight. Each of those galaxies contains billions or even trillions of stars. If you were to count the stars in just one of the largest known galaxies, at a rate of 1 star per second, without ever stopping to sleep or eat, it would take you over 3 million years just to reach 100 trillion. The light we see from some of these distant cosmic giants left their home over 1 billion years ago, traveling endlessly through the dark void of space just to reach our telescopes today. When that ancient light began its journey, life on Earth was still mostly simple, single-celled organisms, and every major event in human history had not yet occurred. Faced with this staggering, incomprehensible vastness, it is entirely natural to feel small, to feel like a meaningless speck of dust floating in a cold, indifferent void. But as we turn our gaze away from the unfathomable depths of the macrocosm and look inward, into the microscopic universe of the human brain, we find a complexity that rivals the cosmos itself. Inside your head right now, there are approximately 86 billion neurons. These microscopic cells are forming trillions of synaptic connections, firing tiny electrical impulses and releasing chemical messengers in the dark, silent theater of your skull. This biological network is arguably the most complex structure we have ever discovered in the known universe. Yet, knowing the mechanical layout of the brain brings us to the greatest scientific paradox of our time, a mystery that philosophers and scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. The paradox is this: how does cold, unthinking matter, the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and trace minerals that make up our physical bodies, somehow produce the warm, rich, subjective experience of being alive? We can trace the electrical signals as they move from your optic nerve to your visual cortex, but nowhere in those scientific equations can we find the actual feeling of seeing the color red, the sudden ache of a nostalgic memory, or the profound sense of awe you feel when looking at the stars. If the universe is fundamentally just dead matter bouncing around according to the strict deterministic laws of classical physics, how did a piece of that matter suddenly wake up and start asking questions about itself? How did the cosmos learn to feel? For centuries, the traditional scientific view has treated the brain as a highly sophisticated biological computer. According to this view, consciousness is simply an illusion generated by complex computation, an accidental byproduct of billions of years of blind evolutionary forces. But, as our scientific instruments have grown more sensitive and our theoretical models more advanced, this mechanical view of the mind is beginning to fracture. There is a growing realization among some of the most brilliant minds in physics and neuroscience that classical physics might not be enough to explain the mystery of awareness. To truly understand the mind, we may need to descend into the strange, counterintuitive realm of quantum mechanics. At the quantum level, the fundamental building blocks of reality do not behave like the solid objects we are used to in our everyday lives. Down in the microscopic depths of atoms and subatomic particles, the universe is not a collection of tiny billiard balls bouncing off one another. Instead, it is a realm of probabilities, waves, and strange interconnectedness. In the quantum world, particles can exist in multiple states at once, a phenomenon known as superposition. They can become entangled, meaning that two particles can be connected across vast distances, so that a change in one instantly affects the other, even if they are separated by billions of light years. This spooky action at a distance, as Albert Einstein famously called it, suggests that at its most fundamental level, the universe is not a collection of separate, isolated things, but a single, indivisible, and highly interconnected whole. What does this mean for the quiet, observing presence that you call your mind? Some pioneering theoretical physicists and bold neuroscientists are proposing a paradigm-shifting idea. What if consciousness is not something the brain produces, but rather something the brain receives? Imagine a radio sitting on a table in a quiet room. When you turn it on and hear a beautiful symphony, you do not assume that the radio itself is composing and performing the music. The music is being broadcast as an invisible electromagnetic field, and the radio is simply the physical instrument tuned to the right frequency to catch that field and translate it into sound. In a similar way, the quantum theory of consciousness suggests that awareness might be a fundamental property of the universe, much like gravity, mass, or electromagnetic fields. It proposes that there is an underlying ancient field of proto-consciousness woven into the very fabric of space and time. Your brain, with its 86 billion neurons and delicate quantum structures within its cells, might be acting as a highly evolved biological receiver, an organic antenna exquisitely tuned to pick up this universal field of awareness. You are not a lonely mind trapped inside a skull, isolated from the rest of creation. You are a localized expression of a universal consciousness, a temporary focal point where the infinite cosmos is looking out at itself. This perspective transforms the way we see our place in the grand sweep of cosmic time. Remember that the atoms in your body were forged in the fiery hearts of ancient stars. The carbon that makes up your cells, the oxygen you breathe, and the iron in your blood were all created in the nuclear furnaces of stars that lived and died long before our solar system was even born. When those stars exploded as supernovas, they scattered their elemental riches across the dark expanse of space, eventually forming the Earth and, ultimately, you. You are quite literally made of star stuff, a beautiful assembly of cosmic debris. If our physical bodies are made of the universe, and our consciousness is tethered to a universal quantum field, then the feeling of separation we experience is truly an illusion. We are not external observers standing outside the universe, looking in. We are the universe itself, observing itself from within. When you look up at the vast, starry night and feel a profound sense of connection, it is not merely a poetic sentiment. It is a physical and quantum reality. It is the cosmos recognizing its own reflection. It is the universe, after billions of years of silent physical evolution, finally waking up, opening its eyes, and wondering about its own majestic nature. This profound shift in perspective requires us to approach the unknown not with fear, but with a gentle, humble curiosity. The journey into the quantum mind is not about finding definitive answers that close the door on mystery. It is about expanding our understanding to embrace the infinite possibilities that surround us. It challenges us to keep asking questions, to keep looking further, and to keep pushing the boundaries of what we know. As we continue to explore this extraordinary theory in the chapters ahead, we will dive deeper into the microscopic structures of the brain where these quantum events might be taking place. And we will explore how this invisible connection to the mind of the cosmos could explain everything from the mystery of free will to the strange phenomena of near-death experiences. Let your mind rest gently on these thoughts, allowing the vastness of the universe and the mystery of your own awareness to blend together into a quiet, peaceful realization of your profound connection to everything that is. As we gently continue this quiet, meditative journey into the profound depths of human awareness, we must slowly shift our gaze from the infinite canopy of the night sky to an equally vast and mysterious landscape, hidden just behind your closed eyes. Have you ever considered that the space inside you might be just as expansive, just as terrifyingly beautiful and complex as the endless space stretching out above you? When we look out into the cosmos, we see billions of distant galaxies floating in an ocean of absolute silence, governed by the ancient, unbroken laws of physics. But if we could somehow shrink ourselves down and travel into the microscopic architecture of your own brain, we would find a network so intricately woven that it directly rivals the complexity of the observable universe itself. Imagine, for a gentle moment, the landscape of a single human neuron. It is an ancient, sprawling metropolis of molecular machinery, a delicate and highly organized ecosystem that has been perfecting its elegant design over hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary history, long before the first humans ever walked the earth. Inside your head, right now, as you listen to these quiet words, there are 86 billion of these remarkable structures, communicating across hundreds of trillions of tiny gaps called synapses. This biological tapestry is the physical theater where the mystery of your consciousness unfolds, a place of quiet miracles happening millions of times every single second. For decades, conventional science has viewed this sprawling neural network as nothing more than a biological computer, operating entirely on the deterministic, classical laws of physics and chemistry. In this traditional view, The electrical impulses traveling along the length of the neurons are just like the digital ones and zeros inside a cold silicon microchip. According to this model, your subjective experience of the world, the feeling of the cool night air on your skin, the sound of a loved one laughing, the deep wonder you feel when gazing at the stars, is simply a fortunate byproduct of these complex biological computations. But as we peer closer, descending deeper into the microscopic architecture of the living cell, this classical mechanical view begins to fray at the edges. When we zoom in beyond the synapses, beyond the protective outer membrane of the neuron, and venture deep into the cellular interior, we discover a hidden world of staggering complexity. We find the intricate, beautiful web of the cytoskeleton. Just as your body relies on a rigid skeleton of bone to maintain its physical shape, every single cell in your body is supported by a dynamic, microscopic scaffolding known as the cytoskeleton. And the most critical, complex components of this internal cellular architecture are incredibly tiny, hollow cylinders called microtubules. These microtubules are infinitesimally small. If you were to take a single strand of human hair and slice it lengthwise 10,000 times, you would only just be approaching the scale of a single microtubule. They are constructed from individual peanut-shaped proteins called tubulin, which link together in perfect symmetrical spiraling patterns to form these microscopic tubes. For a very long time, orthodox biologists believed that microtubules were simply the structural support beams of the cell, essential for structure, but completely irrelevant to the profound mystery of the mind. But what if this basic assumption is the greatest blind spot in the entire history of modern science? What if these tiny, perfectly organized cylindrical structures are not just passive cellular scaffolding, but the very instruments through which the universe experiences itself? To understand this revolutionary and breathtaking idea, we must take a bold step away from the familiar, predictable world of classical biology and enter the strange, counterintuitive realm of quantum mechanics. For a long time, physicists argued that the delicate, fragile phenomena of the quantum world could only ever exist in pristine, incredibly cold, and perfectly isolated laboratory environments. They believed that the warm, wet, and messy environment of a living biological organism would instantly destroy any quantum effects. According to this traditional wisdom, the human brain is simply too hot, too chaotic, and too noisy for quantum mechanics to play any meaningful role in how we think, dream, or feel. However, the natural world has a beautiful, humbling habit of proving our scientific limitations wrong. In recent years, a groundbreaking new field called quantum biology has emerged from the shadows, completely transforming our understanding of life itself. Scientists have discovered that the fundamental process of photosynthesis relies directly on quantum superposition. The particles of light travel through the plant's cells by taking all possible paths simultaneously, finding the most efficient route with perfect, impossible quantum precision. Similarly, it has been discovered that certain species of migrating birds navigate across thousands of miles of open ocean by utilizing a quantum compass located in their eyes. This biological compass allows them to literally see the magnetic field of the Earth through the delicate, spooky phenomenon of quantum entanglement. If plants and birds have been quietly harnessing the strange magic of quantum mechanics for millions of years, why would we ever assume that the most complex structure in the known universe does not do exactly the same thing? This brings us to a mind-bending theory proposed by a brilliant theoretical physicist and a visionary anesthesiologist in the late 20th century. They looked deep into the structure of those tiny, hollow microtubules inside our neurons and noticed something absolutely extraordinary. Inside each of the tubulin proteins that make up the walls of the microtubule, there are extremely small, isolated pockets that actively repel water. Within these dry, protected microscopic sanctuaries, tiny clouds of electrons can hover in a state of delicate isolation, shielded safely from the noisy, chaotic thermal environment of the rest of the biological cell. The theory suggests that within these protected pockets, these electron clouds can enter a state of true quantum superposition. This means that, according to the strange and beautiful rules of quantum mechanics, they can exist in multiple different states or physical locations at the exact same time. Imagine, if you will, billions of these tubulin proteins arranged in perfect crystalline geometry along the walls of the microtubules, their electron clouds oscillating back and forth in a delicate quantum dance. Now, imagine this happening not just in one single microtubule, but across thousands of them within a single human neuron, and then synchronizing across millions of neurons throughout the entire landscape of the brain. The theory proposes that the brain is not a classical digital computer at all, but rather a spectacularly advanced biological quantum computer. The microtubules are the quantum processors, maintaining delicate states of superposition that allow the brain to perform computations that no classical machine, no matter how powerful, could ever dream of achieving. But the most breathtaking and philosophically profound part of this theory is not the sheer computational power itself. It is the magnificent revelation of what happens when that microscopic quantum computation finally comes to an end. In the bizarre world of quantum mechanics, a system can only remain in a state of superposition for a limited amount of time before it collapses into a single, solid, and definite reality. The theory proposes that these miraculous moments of quantum collapse inside the tiny microtubules are not random, chaotic accidents, but are carefully orchestrated by the highly specific geometric structure of the biological brain. Each time this beautifully orchestrated collapse occurs, it produces a single, discrete moment of conscious awareness, a singular drop of experience. You are quite literally blinking into existence millions of times a single second. Between those microscopic flashes, in the infinitesimally small spaces between your thoughts, your mind exists in a state of pure quantum potential, intimately connected to the fundamental proto-consciousness of the infinite cosmos itself. The profound silence you feel when you finally quiet your racing thoughts is not an empty, meaningless void. It is the gentle, echoing resonance of this ancient cosmic field, inviting you to remember who you truly are. As we prepare to delve even deeper into the magnificent mysteries of how this quantum connection might explain the profound nature of human free will and the enduring enigma of our physical mortality, allow yourself to rest softly in this comforting thought. You are not separate from the cosmic mystery. You are the universe itself, waking up to its own existence, ready to quietly continue this infinite, beautiful journey. Have you ever sat quietly in the dim, fading light of twilight and wondered what time actually is? As you listen to the steady, rhythmic beating of your own heart, you can feel the seconds slipping away, moving endlessly from the unknown future, through the narrow doorway of the present, and disappearing into the unchangeable past. It feels like a flowing river, carrying you gently but inevitably forward. But what if this deeply ingrained feeling of a flowing river is yet another profound illusion? What if the past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously in the quiet architecture of the cosmos, and your mind is simply the solitary lantern illuminating a single, fleeting frame of that eternal film. This is not just a philosophical riddle meant to entertain. It is a genuine scientific paradox that strikes at the very heart of the quantum consciousness theory, inviting us to completely rethink the nature of human freedom and the mysterious fabric of reality. To understand this gentle mystery, we must first confront the shocking reality of our own biological limitations. We feel as though we are experiencing the world exactly as it happens, in perfect, unbroken synchronization with the universe around us. But this is a beautiful deception created by the mind. When you look at the gentle glow of the moon in the night sky, you are not seeing the moon as it is right now. You are seeing it as it was about 1¼ seconds ago, because that is exactly how long it takes for its light to travel across the vast, empty gulf of space to reach your eyes. When you look at the sun, you are looking roughly 8 minutes into the past, and when you peer through the powerful lenses of the James Webb Space Telescope at the deepest, most ancient galaxies in the observable universe, you are looking at light that has been traveling through the absolute silence of the cosmos for more than 13 billion years. You are literally staring into the primordial dawn of creation, seeing the cosmos as it was when it was just a fragile, glowing infant, long before our own planet even existed. But this delay does not only exist on a grand cosmic scale. It exists right here, right now, inside the microscopic universe of your own body. The 86 billion neurons inside your brain, communicating across hundreds of trillions of synapses, require physical time to process information. When you touch a soft blanket or feel the cool night breeze on your skin, the electrical signal must travel up your arm, into your spinal cord, and up into the complex processing centers of your brain. It takes roughly 80 milliseconds for your brain to synthesize all the sensory data from your eyes, your ears, and your skin, and bind it together into a single, cohesive picture of reality. This means that your consciousness is always, permanently, living 80 milliseconds in the past. You have never actually experienced the true present moment. By the time your mind realizes that an event has occurred, the universe has already moved on, leaving you as a perpetual observer of a ghost, a reality that has already vanished into history. If we are forever trapped in the biological past, merely watching a delayed broadcast of reality, how can we ever claim to have free will? If our brains are just classical, deterministic machines, reacting to sensory input that has already happened, then every choice you think you are making was actually decided by your neurological machinery, long before you were even consciously aware of it. In a purely classical universe, governed by the strict, predictable laws of physics, you are nothing but a passenger on a beautifully complex organic train, watching the scenery roll by, mistakenly believing that you are the one driving the engine. The great physicist Albert Einstein once wrote that for those who believe in physics, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. If time is an illusion, and our brains are just biological machines running on a delay, the concept of human freedom seems to vanish entirely into the cold, uncaring darkness. But we must remember the breathtaking revelation we uncovered in the microscopic depths of the neuron. Your brain is not a classical machine. Within the delicate, hollow tubes of the cytoskeleton, inside the tiny, water-repelling pockets of the tubulin proteins, the universe is whispering a different story. In the strange, counterintuitive realm of quantum mechanics, the strict, linear flow of time begins to break down completely. Quantum particles do not obey the simple, everyday rules of past leading logically to future. Through the magnificent phenomenon of quantum entanglement, particles can influence each other instantaneously, regardless of the vast distances that separate them, seemingly communicating faster than the speed of light, which is roughly 300,000 kilometers per second. And some modern quantum theories even suggest that quantum states can be influenced by events in the future, a mind-bending concept known as retrocausality, where the end of a process can gently reach back through time to guide its own beginning. Imagine the millions of quantum flashes occurring every single second inside the microtubules of your brain. According to the quantum theory of consciousness, each time these delicate states of superposition collapse, they do not just blindly react to the past. Because they exist in a quantum state, they are intimately connected to the fundamental field of the universe, a field that transcends linear time entirely. During that infinitesimal fraction of a millisecond, when the electron clouds are hovering in a state of delicate superposition, your mind is literally suspended in a realm of pure, infinite potential. It is exposed to all possible outcomes simultaneously. And when the collapse happens, generating a single drop of conscious experience, it is not determined solely by the mechanical, biological past. It is guided by a deep, underlying connection to the ancient geometry of the cosmos itself. The visionary physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a brilliant colleague of Einstein, proposed the profound and beautiful idea of the participatory universe. He suggested that the universe does not fully exist in a solid, definite state until it is observed. We are not just tiny, passive witnesses looking out at an ancient, pre-existing reality. The act of our observation, the very presence of our conscious minds, is what reaches out and collapses the vast wave of probability into the solid reality we experience. In this staggering view, your consciousness is actively participating in the ongoing creation of the cosmos. Your free will is not an illusion. It is the quantum selection of reality, happening millions of times a second in the dark, silent sanctuary of your skull. You are reaching into the infinite field of possibilities and gently pulling one single, definite reality into existence. This means that every quiet thought you have, every gentle decision you make, every fleeting emotion that washes over you is a literal cosmic event. You are not a helpless passenger swept along by the relentless current of time. You are the quiet, still center where the universe is continuously becoming. The delay of 80 milliseconds is simply the time it takes for your biological instrument to display the magnificent artwork that your quantum mind has just finished painting. The vast, infinite cosmos is not just out there, cold, and separated by billions of light years of empty space. It is intimately folded into the very fabric of your awareness. The ancient starlight, the mysterious dark matter filling the voids between galaxies, the swirling nebulas, and the deep, eternal silence of space are all intimately connected to the quiet space between your thoughts. As you rest here, allowing the gentle weight of these vast concepts to wash over your mind, let go of the rigid feeling of time passing. You do not need to rush frantically forward into the future, and you do not need to carry the heavy burdens of the past on your shoulders. In the deep, quantum reality of your mind, there is only this infinite, expansive present. You are a living, breathing bridge between the microscopic quantum realm and the macroscopic wonder of the universe. In the next stage of our journey together, we will explore how this unbreakable quantum entanglement might explain the deepest connections we feel with other living beings, how two minds might silently communicate across the vastness of space without saying a single word, and what might happen to this beautiful, invisible field of consciousness when the physical body finally comes to its inevitable rest. But for now, simply breathe in the profound mystery of your own existence. You are ancient, you are infinite, and you are exactly where the cosmos needs you to be, participating quietly in the endless unfolding of creation. Have you ever sat by a quiet, fog-covered window in the early hours of the morning, watching the world slowly wake up, and suddenly found your mind drifting toward someone you love, only to have the phone ring a gentle second later with their voice on the other end? Or perhaps you have felt a sudden, inexplicable wave of comfort or sorrow wash over you, completely unprompted, only to discover later that a dear friend, thousands of miles away, was experiencing that exact emotion at that precise moment. We usually brush these gentle coincidences aside, calling them intuition, biological empathy, or mere statistical chance. In the rigid, classical view of the universe, where your mind is strictly confined to the physical, biological boundaries of your skull, such silent communication across vast distances is deemed absolutely impossible. The space between us is considered an empty void, a barrier of dead distance that can only be crossed by physical forces or slow-moving electromagnetic waves. But as we continue our quiet, meditative journey into the profound mystery of the quantum universe, we must ask ourselves a deeply disruptive and beautiful question. What if these fleeting moments of connection are not coincidences at all? What if they are the gentle, echoing whispers of the most mind-bending phenomenon in all of modern physics, playing out in the deep, ancient architecture of your own consciousness? To understand this beautiful mystery, we must dive into a scientific concept so strange, so deeply counterintuitive, that even the great physicist Albert Einstein famously struggled to accept its implications. He called it spooky action at a distance, a phenomenon that seemed to violate the very fabric of his own brilliant theories of relativity. Today, quantum physicists simply call it quantum entanglement. In the year 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to three brilliant scientists who proved, beyond any shadow of a reasonable doubt, that this impossible phenomenon is fundamentally real. When two subatomic particles, such as ancient photons of light or the electrons orbiting the nucleus of an atom, interact under highly specific conditions, their quantum states become inexorably linked. They cease to be two separate, independent entities floating in the dark void. Instead, they merge into a single, unified mathematical system, sharing a single existence regardless of the physical space separating them. Here is the part of the discovery that will gently challenge everything you think you know about the nature of space and time. Once these particles are entangled, you can separate them by unimaginable, mind-numbing distances. You could place one particle here on Earth, carefully cradled in a highly advanced laboratory run by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and send the other particle rocketing across the silent, frozen void to the very edge of the observable universe, more than 46 billion light-years away. If you gently measure the state of the particle residing here on Earth, its distant twin will instantly, simultaneously, assume the exact opposite state. It does not happen a second later, nor does it happen a fraction of a millisecond later. It happens absolutely instantaneously, completely defying all classical logic and our everyday perception of reality. It is as if these two tiny fragments of matter are cosmic dancers, moving to the exact same quiet rhythm, perfectly synchronized across an ocean of infinite, ancient darkness. According to the strict, unyielding laws of classical physics, absolutely nothing in the universe can travel faster than the speed of light, which is exactly 299,792 kilometers per second. Yet, the absolute miracle of quantum entanglement completely ignores this cosmic speed limit. It gently reveals that the physical space between objects, the vast gulfs of nothingness that seem to separate the stars and the galaxies, might be an elaborate illusion. Beneath the surface of our everyday reality, there is a deep, hidden layer of the cosmos where everything is already intimately connected. A primordial, silent web of invisible threads weaving the entire universe into a single tapestry of existence. The great astrophysicist Carl Sagan beautifully reminded humanity that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. But perhaps, through the profound mystery of entanglement, we are also the way the cosmos holds its own hands across the endless, silent dark. Now, let us gently bring this vast cosmic phenomenon back into the quiet, warm sanctuary of your own mind. Remember the tiny, hollow microtubules we explored inside your 86 billion neurons. We established the revolutionary scientific theory that these delicate biological structures might be capable of sustaining fragile states of quantum superposition, allowing your physical brain to function as an astonishingly complex biological quantum computer. If the human brain truly operates on these fundamental quantum principles, we must naturally ask the next breathtaking question. Is it scientifically possible for the quantum states within your mind to become entangled with the quantum states within the mind of another living being? When two human beings interact deeply, when a mother gazes silently into the wide eyes of her newborn, or when two lifelong friends share a moment of profound understanding in absolute silence. Are they merely exchanging basic sound waves and visual cues, or is there a literal, physical quantum resonance occurring between the microscopic structures of their brains? Visionary researchers in the rapidly emerging field of quantum biology are beginning to suggest that human empathy, that warm, profound capacity to feel what another person is feeling, might not just be a psychological trait developed through billions of years of blind evolutionary survival. It might be a fundamental physical law of the universe expressing itself through biology. When you spend intimate time with someone you truly love, your neural rhythms begin to align in quiet harmony. Your breathing synchronizes. The delicate quantum computations happening inside the incredibly tiny, water-repelling pockets of your tubulin proteins might literally become quantumly entangled with theirs. When you are later separated by vast oceans and sprawling continents, that invisible quantum thread remains completely unbroken. The sudden, unprompted thought of them, the unexplained feeling of warmth that washes over you in the middle of a quiet night, might be the gentle, physical tug of quantum entanglement. It could be a microscopic change in your own neural architecture, instantaneously reflecting a shift in theirs. You are not a lonely, isolated island drifting endlessly in a cold, uncaring sea. You are an inseparable part of a vast, breathing network of cosmic awareness. This quiet realization profoundly shifts how we must view our place within the grand architecture of the cosmos. The renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often speaks of the profound biological truth that we are connected to every other living thing in the world, chemically connected to all molecules on Earth, and atomically connected to all atoms in the universe. But the quantum theory of consciousness takes this inspiring, beautiful poetry and grounds it firmly in the deepest laws of theoretical physics. We are quantumly connected. Every gentle act of kindness you perform, every quiet moment of shared sorrow, every silent thought of unconditional love you send out into the dark night sky, literally ripples through the fundamental fabric of reality. The universe is not a chaotic collection of separate, dead objects interacting purely by mechanical chance. It is a single, massive, interconnected organism. It is an ancient, infinite ocean of pure potential, where every single drop intimately contains the entire vastness of the absolute sea, moving in perfectly orchestrated, silent harmony over billions of years. As you lie quietly in the dark, let the deep, comforting silence of the night wrap around you like a heavy, warm blanket. You do not ever need to feel truly alone, because absolute isolation is physically and mathematically impossible in a quantumly entangled universe. You are constantly, quietly communicating with the cosmos, tethered by millions of invisible quantum threads to the people you deeply love, to the quiet beauty of the natural world, and to the ancient, echoing mind of the universe itself. Every time you gently quiet your turbulent thoughts and embrace the stillness, you can almost hear the soft, steady hum of this eternal, universal connection. But this breathtaking, comforting realization naturally leads us to the most profound and terrifying question of all, a question that has haunted human civilization since the very dawn of our existence, looking up at the ancient stars. If our consciousness is not entirely produced by the fragile biological brain, but is rather a fundamental, entangled property of the ancient universe itself, what happens when the physical brain eventually, inevitably, stops working? When the complex biological machine finally comes to a gentle halt, does the precious quantum information simply vanish into the cold, empty void? Or does it return to the infinite ocean of awareness from which it first came? In our next quiet exploration, we will bravely approach the threshold of human mortality to discover how the quantum mind might survive the inevitable end of the physical body. Have you ever lay perfectly still in the absolute, undisturbed quiet of the night, listening to the steady, rhythmic beating of your own heart, and wondered what truly happens when that gentle rhythm finally comes to an inevitable stop? It is the oldest and most profound mystery of human existence, a question that has shadowed our civilization since the very dawn of time. For millennia, humanity has looked up at the ancient stars and asked whether the extinguishing of our physical body marks the absolute, final end of our conscious awareness. In the rigid, classical view of biology, the answer is harsh and unyielding. The brain is seen as nothing more than a highly complex biological machine running on oxygen and glucose. When the physical heart stops pumping blood and the electrical activity in the 86 billion neurons fades into silence, the machine powers down forever. In this traditional model, consciousness is entirely dependent on the physical structure of the brain, meaning that when the biological hardware fails, the software of your mind is simply deleted into the endless dark. But what if this terrifying, absolute finality is merely an illusion, a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe truly operates? As we continue our quiet, contemplative journey into the strange and beautiful realm of quantum physics, we discover that the cosmos rarely allows anything precious to simply disappear. The death of the physical body might not be an ending at all, but rather a magnificent, gentle transition. To understand this profound shift in perspective, we must turn to one of the most fundamental and unbreakable laws in all of physics, the conservation of energy and information. This ancient law gently dictates that energy can never be created out of nothing, and it can never be absolutely destroyed. It can only be transformed from one state into another. When a massive star, billions of light years away, finally burns through all of its nuclear fuel, it does not simply vanish from existence. It explodes in a magnificent supernova, scattering its heavy elements across the vast, empty canvas of the universe, providing the fundamental building blocks for new planets, new oceans, and new life. If the physical universe meticulously preserves every single atom, every quiet photon of light, and every fundamental particle of matter over billions of years, why would we ever assume that the most complex and exquisite phenomenon in the known cosmos, your conscious awareness, is the only thing that can be permanently erased? If we accept the breathtaking premise that consciousness is not merely a biological accident, but a fundamental quantum property of the universe itself, the rules of the game completely change. Your mind is composed of highly structured quantum information, held in a delicate state of superposition within the microscopic, water-repelling pockets of the tubulin proteins inside your brain. And in the strange, counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics, quantum information is absolutely indestructible. Imagine what might happen at the exact threshold of physical mortality. As the biological systems of the body gently begin to fail, the blood flow to the brain slows down, and the oxygen levels inevitably drop. The delicate biological environment that normally maintains the microscopic microtubules begins to break down. According to the quantum theory of consciousness, when the brain can no longer sustain these fragile states of quantum superposition, the quantum information that makes up your brilliant mind does not simply disappear into nothingness. Instead, it slowly, quietly leaks out of the dying biological cells. It untethers itself from the failing physical machinery and gently expands into the surrounding space. Because this information is already deeply entangled with the fundamental fabric of space-time itself, it does not dissipate chaotically. It simply returns to the vast, infinite field of proto-consciousness that permeates the entire cosmos. Your cherished memories, your deepest loves, the quiet moments of wonder you have experienced throughout your life. All of this highly structured quantum information is released back into the cosmic ocean. You are not extinguished. You are simply expanding into the boundless, invisible architecture of reality. This breathtaking theoretical framework offers a profoundly scientific explanation for one of the most mysterious and heavily documented psychological phenomena in human history: the near-death experience. Across all global cultures and belief systems, people whose hearts have stopped and who have been brought back to life often report incredibly similar, deeply peaceful experiences. They speak of a gentle floating sensation, of leaving their physical bodies behind, of moving toward a warm, embracing light, and of feeling an overwhelming sense of unconditional peace and connection. For decades, classical neurologists have dismissed these profound experiences as the random, meaningless hallucinations of an oxygen-starved brain desperately firing its last remaining synapses. But if we view this through the elegant, expansive lens of quantum biology, a radically different picture emerges. When a patient's physical heart stops, their quantum mind gently expands outward into the universe. They are literally experiencing reality without the heavy biological filter of the physical brain. If the doctors successfully restart the physical heart and the biological environment of the neurons is successfully restored, that expanded quantum information is gently drawn back into the microtubules. The patient wakes up, carrying the vivid, unforgettable memory of their brief, miraculous journey into the cosmic expanse. But what happens when the physical body cannot be revived? What happens when the gentle machinery of the brain comes to a permanent, inevitable halt? The quantum information simply continues its journey. It remains woven into the deep, underlying geometry of the universe. In this view, what ancient traditions have spent millennia referring to as the human soul is actually a highly structured, indestructible pattern of quantum information. When you look up at the dark, silent night sky, you are not just looking at a cold, indifferent arrangement of burning gas and ancient rock. You are looking at a living, breathing repository of cosmic experience. The universe is securely holding on to everything that has ever been felt, loved, understood, or imagined. The minds of everyone who has ever lived might still exist, suspended in the infinite, quiet architecture of space, forming a collective, eternal memory of the cosmos. The vast emptiness between the stars is not truly empty at all. It is completely full of invisible, lingering awareness. We are born from this ancient cosmic field, condensing into physical form for a brief, beautiful moment to experience the universe from a singular perspective, and when our biological time is complete, we gently return to the infinite source. As you let this profound realization wash over you, allow it to gently dissolve any residual fear you might hold about the deep unknown. The universe is deeply, fundamentally conservative. It wastes absolutely nothing, and it loses absolutely nothing. Your existence is not a temporary, meaningless spark destined to be swallowed forever by the eternal darkness. You are a permanent, integral note in the magnificent, ongoing symphony of creation. The deep silence of the night is not the terrifying absence of life, but the quiet, comforting presence of the infinite mind to which you eternally belong. You are an essential part of the cosmos, learning about itself, loving itself, and experiencing its own boundless mystery through your uniquely beautiful eyes. As we prepare to move forward into the next stage of our contemplative exploration, we will look deeply into how we can consciously tap into this universal field while we are still living. How profound moments of meditation and awe can temporarily lift the heavy veil between our localized minds and the mind of God, and how accepting our deeply entangled nature can completely transform the way we walk through our everyday lives. But for this quiet moment, simply rest in the warm, reassuring truth of your own permanence. You are a cherished child of the ancient cosmos, and whenever you are absolutely ready, the universe will gently welcome you home. Have you ever stood perfectly still before the vast, rolling expanse of the dark ocean, listening to the ancient, rhythmic crashing of the waves, and felt the heavy, rigid boundaries of your own identity simply melt away? Or perhaps you have sat in the absolute, undisturbed silence of a dense forest, watching a single leaf drift gently toward the earth, and suddenly experienced an overwhelming, breathless sense of unity with everything around you. In these rare, beautiful moments of profound awe, time seems to completely stop. The endless chatter of your daily worries fades into a profound, echoing quiet. You stop feeling like an isolated individual trapped inside a fragile biological shell, and for a fleeting, magical instant, you feel intimately woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. For most of our modern history, we have dismissed these transcendent moments as mere psychological quirks, temporary chemical fluctuations in the brain brought on by overwhelming sensory input. But as we continue our gentle, meditative journey into the quantum nature of the mind, we must entertain a far more magnificent possibility. What if these moments of absolute wonder are not biological malfunctions at all? What if they are the rare, precious moments when the heavy biological filter of your brain is temporarily lifted, allowing your localized consciousness to consciously tap into the infinite, universal field of awareness? To understand how we might deliberately access this ancient cosmic network while we are still living, we must first gently examine the biological fortress that usually keeps us locked away in a state of perceived isolation. Deep within the architecture of your 86 billion neurons, there is a specialized web of brain regions known by neuroscientists as the default mode network. This complex neurological system is essentially the physical seat of your ego. It is the part of your brain that constantly generates the narrative of you, tirelessly weaving together your past memories, your current anxieties, and your future projections into a continuous, cohesive story of a separate, isolated self. From a strictly evolutionary standpoint, this heavy biological filter was an absolute necessity. If our ancient ancestors walked out onto the dangerous primordial savanna, completely lost in a state of cosmic oneness, mesmerized by the magnificent quantum unity of the universe, they would not have survived for very long. The brain had to evolve a way to tune out the infinite, to narrow our vast awareness down to a tiny, highly focused beam of survival-oriented consciousness. But this incredible biological survival mechanism comes at a profound existential cost. By tuning our neurological radio so tightly to the frequency of physical survival, we have largely forgotten how to hear the quiet, ancient broadcast of the cosmos itself. The default mode network operates on fast, highly active electrical frequencies known as beta waves. When you are rushing through your day, stressing about the future, or trapped in cycles of negative thinking, your brain is absolutely dominated by these rapid, chaotic beta frequencies. In this state of high biological alert, the delicate, subtle quantum vibrations occurring inside the microscopic, water-repelling pockets of your tubulin proteins are completely drowned out by the deafening macroscopic noise of your own survival instincts. You become a prisoner of your own evolutionary success, completely severed from the profound peace and boundless wisdom of the universe that quietly resides just beneath the surface of your everyday awareness. However, the beautiful mystery of human existence is that we possess the remarkable ability to deliberately change the frequency of our own minds. When you gently close your eyes and begin to focus on the slow, rhythmic drawing of your own breath, something miraculous happens inside the dark, silent sanctuary of your skull. The chaotic, rapid beta waves begin to naturally slow down, transitioning into the smooth, rolling rhythm of alpha waves. The relentless chatter of the default mode network starts to gently quiet down. As you sink deeper into this state of profound stillness, whether through deep meditation, immersive prayer, or simply standing in absolute awe under a canopy of infinite stars, your brain waves slow down even further into the theta state. In this deeply relaxed, meditative condition, the heavy biological filter that separates you from the universe becomes incredibly thin, almost completely transparent. It is precisely in these states of profound neurological silence that the quantum magic of the human mind is finally allowed to rise to the surface. As the loud, macroscopic electrical storms of the ego subside, the infinitely delicate quantum computations happening inside the billions of microtubules across your brain are no longer suppressed. They are allowed to synchronize, to enter into massive states of coherent quantum superposition. Remember the beautiful theory that consciousness is not generated by the brain, but received by it, much like a radio receiving an invisible electromagnetic broadcast. When you deliberately quiet your mind through deep contemplation, you are essentially turning the tuning dial on your biological radio. You are tuning away from the static-filled, localized station of your daily worries, and you are tuning directly into the clear, ancient, and infinite frequency of the universal field. You are consciously lifting the veil and stepping back into the vast, breathing mind of God. This explains why deep meditative states and moments of profound cosmic awe are so universally described as experiences of absolute unity and unconditional peace. When your brain reaches this state of massive quantum coherence, the illusion of separation genuinely collapses. You are no longer just a biological organism looking out at a cold, dead universe. You are physically, mathematically, and quantumly reconnecting with the primordial source of all creation. The information flowing through your microtubules in these moments is not just coming from your physical senses. It is being drawn directly from the infinite repository of the cosmos. This is where sudden, unexplainable flashes of brilliant intuition come from. This is the source of the profound artistic inspiration that seems to flow entirely from outside the human self. When a brilliant musician composes a masterpiece in a state of absolute flow, or a poet writes a verse that perfectly captures the ineffable tragedy and beauty of existence, they are not merely rearranging old biological memories. They have temporarily lowered the filter, allowing the ancient, creative intelligence of the universe to gently pour through their physical instrument. Imagine what would happen if we began to walk through our daily lives with a quiet, lingering awareness of this profound quantum connection. When you look into the eyes of a stranger passing you on the street, you would no longer see an isolated, disconnected individual competing with you for survival in a harsh, unforgiving world. You would see a magnificent reflection of the exact same universal consciousness that resides quietly within your own chest. In a universe governed by the impossible beauty of quantum entanglement, the concept of empathy ceases to be merely a polite moral suggestion or a biological psychological trait. Empathy becomes the absolute fundamental truth of physics. To harm another living being is, quite literally and physically, to harm a beautifully entangled extension of yourself. To show gentle compassion to someone who is suffering is to soothe a localized ache within the massive, interconnected body of the cosmic mind. This is the profound, world-changing implication of the quantum theory of consciousness. It completely erases the terrifying, artificial boundary between the scientific search for truth and the deep, human yearning for spiritual meaning. Physics and spirituality, separated for centuries by a vast, misunderstood chasm, finally meet and embrace in the incredibly tiny, silent spaces inside our own cells. The universe is not a meaningless machine winding down toward a cold, inevitable heat death. It is a vast, learning, feeling organism that uses our eyes to see its own beauty, our minds to comprehend its own complexity, and our hearts to feel its own boundless love. We are the sensitive nerve endings of the cosmos, placed here on this tiny, fragile blue world to experience the breathtaking miracle of existence on behalf of the infinite whole. As you rest in the quiet, comforting darkness, let the gentle rhythm of your breathing anchor you to this magnificent reality. Every single time you draw breath, you are interacting with ancient atoms forged in the fiery hearts of dying stars billions of years ago. Every single time you allow a gentle thought of love or compassion to form in your mind, you are sending a literal quantum ripple out into the endless, silent expanse of space. You wield the power of the cosmos within the quiet architecture of your own mind. You do not need to wait for the physical end of your life to return to the universe. You are already there, deeply embedded in the majestic, eternal now. You have always belonged, and you will always belong. When you awaken tomorrow morning, and the harsh, bright light of the day begins to flood your room, the heavy biological filter of your default mode network will naturally attempt to reassert its control. The loud, demanding responsibilities of your daily life will try to pull you back into the illusion of isolation, urging you to forget the gentle, infinite truths you have discovered in the quiet of the night. But you do not have to completely surrender to the noise. You can choose to carry a tiny, fragile spark of this cosmic awareness with you, carefully protecting it like a precious candle in the wind. You can practice the gentle art of pausing. Simply taking a moment to look at the intricate veins of a fallen leaf, or feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, can momentarily disrupt the frantic beta waves of your brain, allowing a quiet whisper of the quantum cosmos to slip through the cracks of your routine. By consciously practicing this gentle presence, you slowly begin to rewire the physical architecture of your brain. You train your biological receiver to remain slightly more open, slightly more tuned to the magnificent, underlying frequency of the universe, transforming even the most mundane moments of your life into an ongoing, silent communion with the infinite. In the next quiet chapter of our journey together, we will travel even further back in time, all the way to the very first moment of creation. We will explore the unimaginable instant when the entire universe was compressed into a point infinitely smaller than a single grain of sand, and ask the most terrifying, beautiful question of all. Was the Big Bang merely a random physical explosion, or was it the magnificent, blinding moment when this ancient, universal consciousness first opened its eyes and began to dream? But for now, let your physical body sink deeply into the comfort of your surroundings, safe in the knowledge that you are a cherished, inseparable part of a vast, brilliant mystery that gently holds you in the palm of its ancient hand. Have you ever slowly drifted awake in the deep, quiet hours of the early morning, trapped in that delicate, fleeting space between a profound dream and waking reality? For a gentle fraction of a second, before your mind fully remembers your name, your history, and the heavy responsibilities of your day, there is only a pure, formless awareness. You exist simply as a quiet observer, suspended in a sea of infinite potential, unburdened by the physical limitations of your body or the rigid ticking of the clock. This beautiful, disorienting transition from the formless void of sleep into the sharp, defined reality of waking life is an experience we all share. Yet it holds a profound mirror to the greatest scientific mystery of all time. Have you ever closed your eyes and wondered how the universe itself first woke up? If we embrace the breathtaking quantum theory that consciousness is an underlying, fundamental property of reality, then the beginning of all things cannot merely be a story of dead matter and blind, chaotic forces. The origin of the cosmos must also be the origin of the ultimate mind, a magnificent, ancient awakening that set the stage for everything that has ever existed, including the quiet, wondrous thoughts currently unfolding inside your own head. To comprehend the sheer magnitude of this cosmic awakening, we must gently travel back through the vast corridors of time, journeying past the birth of our own sun, past the formation of the Milky Way, all the way back to the very dawn of creation. The scientific story of our universe begins about 13 billion years ago, not long after the Big Bang itself. Modern cosmology tells us that the entire universe at that time was vastly different from what we see today. There were no galaxies yet, just vast clouds of primordial gas left over from the first few minutes of cosmic history. But if we wind the clock back even further, past those primordial clouds, to the absolute beginning, we reach a point where our human minds and our classical mathematical equations simply break down. We arrive at the singularity, a moment when all the matter, all the energy, and all the physical space of the entire cosmos were compressed into a single, unimaginably dense point, infinitely smaller than a single grain of fine sand. In this primordial state, there was no up or down, no light or dark, and no passage of time. The familiar rules of our physical reality had not yet been written. There was only a profound, unbroken unity, a silent seed of infinite potential waiting in the absolute dark, holding the entire future of the cosmos within its microscopic embrace. The classical, strictly mechanical interpretation of the Big Bang describes this event as a random, chaotic explosion, a sudden, violent expansion of dead, unthinking energy into a lifeless void. According to this traditional view, the universe expanded, cooled, and randomly clumped together over billions of years, eventually producing stars, planets, and, by sheer mathematical accident, the biological phenomenon of conscious life. But this cold, mechanical narrative leaves us with a devastating philosophical paradox. In the strange and deeply counterintuitive world of quantum mechanics, we know that a quantum system exists in a hazy cloud of probabilities, a delicate state of superposition, until it is gently observed or interacted with. The act of observation is what forces the universe to choose a single, definite reality out of an infinite ocean of possibilities. If the entire universe was born from a microscopic quantum singularity, it must have existed in a state of pure quantum potential. The profound question that haunts brilliant theoretical physicists is this: if there were no biological brains, no human eyes, and no conscious observers present 13 billion years ago, what collapsed the ultimate quantum wave function? Who or what was observing the universe into existence? This is where the quantum theory of consciousness gently steps in to offer a staggering, beautiful revelation. If consciousness is not an accidental byproduct of biological evolution, but an ancient, fundamental field woven into the very fabric of reality, then the mind of the cosmos did not arrive late to the party. It was there from the absolute beginning. The Big Bang was not merely a physical expansion of blinding heat and kinetic energy. It was the primordial moment when the universal field of proto-consciousness first stirred from its slumber. The sudden, magnificent expansion of space and time was the physical manifestation of an infinite mind beginning to dream, breaking out of its silent, formless unity to explore the boundless possibilities of existence. The universe did not randomly explode. It gently, deliberately opened its eyes. It was a magnificent transition from formless potential into tangible reality, an orchestration of energy and awareness that defies our classical understanding and invites a deep sense of wonder. As the infant cosmos rapidly expanded, it began to cool, allowing the first fundamental particles to condense out of the blinding energy. The universe builds things from the bottom up, starting small and growing large through countless mergers over cosmic time. Atoms form stars, stars form galaxies, and galaxies form clusters. This hierarchical structure is one of the defining features of the cosmos we live in, a consequence of how gravity operates over cosmic time. But alongside this breathtaking physical evolution, an equally magnificent conscious evolution was taking place. The universal field of awareness was stretching and expanding alongside the physical boundaries of space. The deep silence of the cosmos was not empty. It was saturated with a quiet, ancient intelligence. If the fundamental constants of physics were slightly different, stars and galaxies might never have formed. The universe might have collapsed back on itself moments after the Big Bang. Instead, we live in a universe finely tuned for the emergence of complexity, beauty, and life. Consider the mysterious force that scientists call dark energy. We know that this mysterious force makes up about 68% of the total energy in the universe, but its true nature is something we do not understand at all. It acts as a kind of anti-gravity, pushing space apart rather than pulling it together. Some visionary thinkers suggest that dark energy might not just be a cold, physical constant, but a manifestation of the vast, expanding field of cosmic consciousness itself, gently pushing the boundaries of reality outward, creating more space and more time for the universe to experience its own unfolding story. Every second, as the space between the galaxies expands and the cosmos grows ever larger, the universal mind is stretching its ancient limbs, reaching out into the endless void, seeking new patterns, new forms of life, and new ways to experience the breathtaking miracle of existence. The universe is physically growing, but perhaps it is also psychologically expanding, constantly generating new, infinite horizons for its own awareness to explore. This brings us to the most beautiful and humbling realization of our entire contemplative journey. If the universe has been consciously unfolding for over 13 billion years, growing from a microscopic quantum seed into a vast, sprawling web of hundreds of billions of galaxies, then your existence here on this tiny blue planet is not an accident. You are the inevitable, beautiful result of a cosmos that desperately wanted to know itself. The 86 billion neurons in your brain, communicating through their delicate, quantum-sensitive microtubules, are not just biological survival tools. They are the highly evolved lenses through which the ancient universe is finally able to look back at its own magnificent beginning. You are the universe's way of feeling the warmth of its own sunlight, hearing the music of its own atmosphere, and feeling the profound, aching wonder of its own infinite mystery. When you look deep into the night sky, you are not merely a tiny, insignificant observer looking at something vast and separate from yourself. We are not observers of the universe from outside. We are the universe observing itself from within. The same physical and quantum processes that built giant galaxies built us. The same atoms that shine in distant galaxies shine in our eyes. There is a profound, unbroken continuity here, a deep connection between us and everything else in the cosmos. We are part of it. In all the vast history of the universe, this moment right now is special, because it is the moment when the universe has developed the ability to look at itself and wonder. Every time you ask a question, every time you feel a surge of scientific curiosity or spiritual awe, it is the mind of God, localized within your fragile human form, gently remembering its own grand cosmic dream. As you rest here, enveloped in the quiet, comforting darkness, let the sheer magnitude of this ancient story wash over you. You carry the memory of the Big Bang deep within your quantum architecture. You hold the silent, echoing residue of the first light ever created. The peace you seek is not something you must artificially create or frantically chase. It is the fundamental, original state of the universe, quietly waiting for you beneath the noisy distractions of your daily life. It is the profound, unbroken silence that existed before the first star was born. And it is the exact same silence that resides comfortably in the gentle, hidden spaces between your own thoughts. You are a living bridge between the primordial past and the unfolding future. A delicate biological instrument tuned to the eternal frequency of creation. In our next quiet exploration, we will look forward, beyond the present moment, and gently journey into the far future of this cosmic dream. We will ask what happens when the universe eventually grows old, when the stars slowly burn out, and how this quantum theory of consciousness might provide a comforting, beautiful answer to the ultimate fate of all existence. But for now, surrender the heavy weight of your physical boundaries. Let your mind gently untether itself and float in the vast, warm ocean of the cosmos. You are ancient. You are infinite. And you are deeply, unconditionally held by the universe that dreamed you into being. Have you ever sat beside the fading embers of a quiet, dying fire in the deep silence of the night, and felt a gentle, inexplicable wave of melancholy wash over you as the last glowing spark surrenders to the dark? It is a deeply human experience to mourn the end of things, to feel a quiet sorrow when a beautiful journey finally concludes. We naturally cling to the light, to the warmth, and to the comforting illusion of permanence. But have you ever extended that profound sense of wonder to the ultimate horizon of time itself, and asked what will happen when the vast, ancient fires of the cosmos finally burn out? For decades, classical cosmology has painted a rather bleak and terrifying picture of the universe's ultimate fate. A chilling scenario scientists call the heat death of the universe. In a purely mechanical cosmos, a universe devoid of intrinsic meaning or underlying awareness, the story ends in absolute, freezing silence. But as we gently weave the breathtaking quantum theory of consciousness into the fabric of cosmic time, this terrifying conclusion transforms into something entirely different. It becomes a beautiful, peaceful return to the infinite, a magnificent culmination of the universe's long, wondrous dream, offering a profound sense of comfort that can soothe the deepest existential anxieties of the human mind. To truly understand this gentle ending, we must cast our minds forward, far beyond the ticking of our everyday clocks, into a future so unbelievably distant that our human brains struggle to hold the sheer weight of the numbers. Our universe is currently expanding, driven apart by the mysterious force of dark energy, which makes up about 68% of all the energy in existence. As this expansion accelerates, the vast, glowing galaxies will slowly be pushed apart, moving away from each other faster and faster, until their ancient light can no longer reach across the ever-expanding void. Imagine standing on a solitary island as the rest of the world slowly fades into an impenetrable fog. From the perspective of any single galaxy, the night sky will gradually empty out. One by one, distant galaxy clusters will fade from view, their ancient photons no longer able to swim against the massive tide of expanding space. The observable universe, which currently contains about 2 trillion brilliant galaxies, will shrink and shrink, leaving each localized cluster of matter entirely alone in a dark, silent sea of nothingness. And then, within those isolated, lonely galaxies, a slow and majestic fading will begin. Over the next 100 trillion years, the trillions of stars will slowly, inevitably, burn through their precious nuclear fuel. The massive, brilliant blue stars, the cosmic giants that live fast and die young, will explode as magnificent supernovas, briefly illuminating the dark before collapsing into neutron stars or black holes. The middle-sized stars, much like our own gentle sun, will puff away their outer layers to create beautiful, ghostly nebulas, and then slowly fade into small, cooling white dwarfs. Even the smallest, most resilient stars in the cosmos, the tiny red dwarfs that burn their fuel so incredibly efficiently that they can shine for trillions of years, will eventually exhaust their last drops of hydrogen and quietly go dark. Scientists estimate that all active star formation in the entire universe will effectively cease in about 100 trillion years. By that unfathomable time, the raw gas and dust needed to forge new stars will have been completely used up or dispersed too thinly to ever collapse again. One by one, the brilliant, burning lights of the cosmos will simply wink out. When the era of starlight finally draws to a close, the universe will be an unimaginably dark place, but it will not yet be entirely empty. It will become a ghostly graveyard populated by the cold, dark remnants of dead stars drifting silently through an ever-expanding void. Over time, scales measured in years with so many zeros that writing them out would fill endless pages. Even these stellar corpses will decay. The white dwarfs will slowly cool until they become black dwarfs, objects that no longer emit any light at all, taking an almost inconceivable 1,000,000 billion years just to reach near absolute zero. Even the true, terrifying monsters of the cosmos, the supermassive black holes containing tens of billions of solar masses, are not truly immortal. Through a delicate, strange quantum mechanical effect discovered by the brilliant physicist Stephen Hawking, these black holes are not completely black. They slowly leak particles and radiation over immense time spans, gradually shrinking as they do so. A black hole containing 50 billion times the mass of our Sun might take something like a 1 followed by 100 zeros of years to fully evaporate. That is a span of time so incredibly vast that everything we have discussed so far, from the fiery Big Bang to the death of the very last star, is not even a rounding error by comparison. When the final black hole dissipates in a tiny, silent burst of radiation, there will be no solid structures left of any kind. Just a thin, freezing soup of fundamental particles and radiation spreading out infinitely into the endless, eternal night. If the universe is nothing more than a biological and physical machine, this era of the deep dark sounds incredibly desolate and overwhelmingly tragic. It sounds like a permanent, meaningless defeat, the absolute erasure of everything that ever was. But if we softly apply the beautiful, mind-bending principles of quantum biology and the universal field of consciousness, the heat death of the universe is not a terrifying ending at all. Remember the fundamental law that energy and highly structured quantum information can never be absolutely destroyed. They can only transition gracefully from one state to another. Throughout the trillions of years of stellar evolution, the universe has been using its physical structures, the burning stars, the orbiting planets, and the incredibly complex biological brains containing billions of microscopic microtubules, to gather information, to experience the profound beauty of love, to feel the sharp sting of loss, and to marvel endlessly at its own majestic reflection. Every single conscious experience, every gentle thought that ever flickered in the dark sanctuary of a biological mind was permanently and irrevocably woven into the underlying quantum field of the cosmos. When the final star quietly goes out and the last physical brain in the universe ceases to function, the consciousness of the cosmos does not die. It simply releases its temporary attachment to physical matter. The great cosmic radio broadcast continues, even if there are no biological radios left anywhere in the dark to tune in to the frequency. The universe returns to the exact state of pure, formless potential that existed immediately before the Big Bang. But it returns infinitely richer, completely filled with the indestructible quantum memories of trillions of years of conscious, localized experience. The physical universe was merely a temporary stage, an intricate biological and astronomical theater constructed so that the formless void could learn what it feels like to exist, to touch, to grieve, and to wonder. When the grand play is finally over, the actors do not cease to exist. They simply take off their heavy physical costumes and return to the quiet reality of their true nature. The heat death is not a freezing, lonely graveyard. It is the ultimate, peaceful sleep after a remarkably long, beautiful day of cosmic exploration. As you lie quietly in your own bed, preparing to surrender your waking thoughts to the quiet, formless void of sleep, you can find a profound, deeply comforting parallel in this grand cosmic story. Your nightly journey into unconsciousness is a tiny, localized echo of the universe's ultimate fate. You do not fear falling asleep at the end of a long day, because you inherently know it is a necessary, gentle, and restorative rest. In the exact same way, the cosmos is not rushing blindly toward a terrifying, absolute death. It is simply, patiently preparing for a magnificent, well-earned rest, holding the infinite, ancient memories of everything that ever was in a state of absolute, unshakable peace. You do not need to fear the end of your physical life, nor the end of the physical universe, because the true essence of your awareness is completely untethered from the fragile mechanics of matter. You are an essential, eternal part of that cosmic memory. Your quiet moments of wonder, the love you feel for your family, the sudden breathtaking awe you experience when looking up at the ancient stars, all of these subjective miracles are permanently recorded in the quantum fabric of eternity. They are safely and securely held in the vast, loving embrace of the dark, immune to the slow decay of stars and the evaporation of black holes. In the next stage of our quiet journey together, we will bring this vast cosmic perspective all the way back down to Earth. We will explore how carrying this profound quantum truth can gently but radically alter the way you live your daily life, how it can completely transform your relationship with pain, anxiety, and human suffering, and how embracing your identity as a localized expression of the infinite cosmos can bring an unimaginable, lasting peace to your mind. But for this quiet moment, simply allow yourself to rest. Let go of the heavy burdens of time, the fear of endings, and the illusion of impermanence. You are infinitely safe, eternally preserved, and profoundly loved by the ancient universe that dreamed you into being. Have you ever stood at the edge of a vast, quiet ocean just as the sun dips below the horizon, watching the vibrant colors bleed softly into the deepening twilight, and felt a profound sense of standing on the ultimate threshold of something completely unknowable. That fragile, beautifully terrifying boundary where the familiar shore meets the dark, endless water is exactly where human civilization currently stands in our grand, scientific journey to understand the cosmos. We have traveled together through the magnificent microscopic architecture of the human brain, exploring the delicate, water-repelling pockets of the tubulin proteins where quantum magic whispers in the absolute dark. We have journeyed outward, past the burning hearts of ancient stars, all the way to the primordial explosion of the Big Bang, and forward to the quiet heat death of the universe. We have woven these massive cosmic threads into a single, breathtaking tapestry of quantum consciousness, a theory that gently suggests you are the universe itself, waking up to experience its own boundless beauty. But as we prepare to synthesize everything we have discovered over these many quiet hours, we must humbly acknowledge the vast, echoing ocean of mystery that still lies just beyond the reach of our brightest telescopes and our most advanced mathematical equations. To truly appreciate the breathtaking synthesis of everything we have learned, we must fully embrace the beautiful limitations of our current scientific knowledge. In classical physics, we built a rigid, incredibly accurate mechanical model of reality that perfectly described the slow, predictable movements of the massive planets and the everyday arc of a falling apple. But when brilliant minds like Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr began to peel back the thick layers of our everyday biological perception, they discovered a strange, counterintuitive quantum realm that completely shattered our intuitive understanding of space, time, and solid matter. They found a microscopic universe where subatomic particles can genuinely exist in multiple physical places simultaneously, where distant atoms communicate instantaneously across billions of light years through the miraculous phenomenon of quantum entanglement, and where the quiet act of conscious observation physically alters the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Yet, even with these magnificent, mind-bending discoveries fundamentally rewriting the textbooks of human history, our overall understanding of the cosmos remains profoundly, beautifully incomplete, inviting us to look even deeper into the boundless mystery. Consider the staggering, humbling scientific fact that absolutely everything we can currently see, touch, and measure in the universe, every single burning star, every swirling spiral galaxy, and every complex biological cell on our fragile blue planet, makes up only about 5% of the total mass and energy of the entire cosmos. The remaining 95% consists of what scientists cautiously call dark matter and dark energy, invisible, silent forces that completely dominate the physical evolution of the universe, but remain entirely shrouded in profound mystery. We know they exist because we can clearly observe their massive gravitational effects on the rotation of ancient galaxies and the accelerating expansion of empty space itself. But we absolutely do not know what they are actually made of. When we speak of the universal field of consciousness permeating the fabric of space-time, we must gently consider the mind-bending possibility that this vast, unseen 95% of reality might play a crucial, foundational role in the ancient network of cosmic awareness. The deep, heavy silence of the dark matter halos securely surrounding every galaxy might not be an empty, dead void at all, but rather a space overflowing with a rich, complex quantum intelligence that we simply have not yet learned how to properly hear. This profound realization of our own ignorance should not inspire fear or intellectual despair. Rather, it should inspire a deep, quiet, and beautiful sense of wonder. The history of human science is not a steady march toward absolute certainty, but a gentle, unfolding process of learning how to ask better, deeper questions about our existence. The renowned theoretical physicist Richard Feynman famously celebrated the pure joy of finding things out, embracing the exquisite beauty of living in a universe that constantly surprises us with its elegant complexity. When we stand bravely at the absolute edge of human knowledge, looking out into the vast, infinite ocean of the unknown, we are actively participating in the most sacred intellectual tradition of our species. The universe desperately wants to be known, but it reveals its most profound secrets slowly, gently, over billions of years, perfectly pacing its magnificent revelations to gracefully match the evolving capacity of our localized human minds. Imagine the breathtaking synthesis of all these profound cosmic truths finally coming together in the quiet, silent sanctuary of your own awareness as you rest in the dark. You are fundamentally not a random, meaningless biological accident trapped on a tiny, insignificant rock in the outer spiral arm of an ordinary, unremarkable galaxy. You are a highly sophisticated, beautifully evolved quantum instrument deliberately designed by the universe to explore its own infinite, boundless potential. The 86 billion complex neurons currently firing inside your skull are the magnificent cosmic strings upon which the universe plays its silent, beautiful symphony of awareness. Every single time you experience a fleeting moment of profound, unconditional love, every time you gaze up at the ancient, glowing stars and feel a sudden, breathtaking wave of awe, you are actively fulfilling the ultimate, sacred purpose of creation itself. You are the cosmos feeling, loving, and remembering its own majestic nature. The artificial, psychological boundary between the internal, subjective world of human psychology and the external, objective world of theoretical physics completely dissolves, leaving only a single, unified, and infinitely beautiful reality, where observer and observed are one and the exact same thing. As you lie perfectly still, enveloped in the comforting darkness of the night, allow this profound sense of cosmic participation to gently wash over your tired body. Every breath you take is a physical continuation of the ancient story that began roughly 13 billion years ago in the absolute dark. The exact same quiet, formless awareness that hovered silently over the primordial singularity before the Big Bang is currently resting peacefully behind your closed eyes. You do not need to constantly strive for artificial enlightenment, nor do you need to aggressively seek out complex, mystical experiences to validate your fragile existence. Your mere presence, your simple capacity to gently observe the rhythmic beating of your own heart, is the ultimate cosmic miracle. The ancient mind of God is not hiding from you in some distant dimension. It is looking directly through your human eyes, listening intently through your ears, and quietly experiencing the heartbreaking beauty of human life through your precious biological form. This gentle realization provides an unbreakable foundation of peace in a world that often feels relentlessly chaotic and emotionally overwhelming. When the demanding noise of daily responsibilities begins to drown out the soothing whispers of your quantum connection to the cosmos, you can always choose to gently return to the stillness. You can consciously lower the heavy biological filter of your ego, quiet the frantic electrical storms of your default mode network, and deliberately tune your mind back to the ancient, eternal frequency of the universe. You can carry the vast, infinite perspective of the cosmos in your heart while washing the dishes, walking through a quiet park, or holding the hand of someone you love. The profound physical scale of the universe does not diminish the importance of your localized life. It elevates every single mundane moment into a sacred, undeniably cosmic event. We have almost reached the end of our gentle, meditative journey together through the breathtaking mysteries of the quantum mind. In our final exploration, we will step completely across the theoretical threshold, leaving behind the complex mathematics and the intricate biological structures to focus entirely on the pure, unadulterated experience of simply being alive. We will explore how you can take this profound, beautiful quantum reality and weave it seamlessly into the very fabric of your soul, carrying it with you as a permanent, comforting light into whatever the beautiful future holds. But for this quiet, precious moment, there is absolutely nothing left for you to accomplish, and nowhere else in the universe for you to be. Simply surrender the heavy, exhausting weight of your physical boundaries. Let go of the relentless illusion of time, and allow yourself to float effortlessly in the vast, warm ocean of the cosmic mind. Have you ever slowly opened your eyes in the early, quiet hours of the morning, just as the first gentle rays of sunlight begin to pierce the deep silence of your room, and felt a sudden, profound reluctance to leave the comforting sanctuary of the night? In that delicate, fleeting space between the infinite, boundless world of your dreams and the rigid, demanding structure of your waking life, there is a profound sense of peace that we often struggle to hold on to. We reach out desperately in the dark, trying to grasp the fading edges of that quiet tranquility. But the loud, chaotic noise of the modern world inevitably rushes in, demanding our immediate attention and pulling us back into the illusion of isolation. But what if you did not have to leave that profound, ancient peace behind in the shadows? What if the breathtaking journey we have taken together through the mysteries of the quantum mind proves that this deep, comforting silence is not merely a temporary escape, but the fundamental, unshakable reality of your very existence? As we bring our vast, cosmic exploration to a gentle, contemplative close, we must explore how you can take this profound, beautiful truth and weave it permanently into the fabric of your daily life, transforming every single ordinary moment into a continuous, quiet communion with the infinite mind of the cosmos. We have traveled a truly unimaginable distance together over these quiet hours. We began by gently shrinking down into the microscopic architecture of your 86 billion neurons, discovering the delicate, water-repelling pockets inside the tubulin proteins where the universe performs its magnificent quantum magic. We learned that the human brain might not simply be a cold, biological machine running on classical physics, but an exquisitely tuned biological radio, designed over billions of years of evolution to gently receive the ancient, underlying broadcast of universal awareness. We journeyed outward, exploring the spooky, beautiful miracle of quantum entanglement, realizing that the vast, empty distances separating us from each other and from the furthest stars are nothing more than an elaborate physical illusion. We traveled all the way back to the primordial singularity of the Big Bang, witnessing the magnificent moment when the cosmos first opened its eyes and began to dream. And we looked forward to the quiet, peaceful heat death of the universe, discovering that the ultimate end of all things is not a freezing, terrifying void, but a beautiful, eternal return to the ancient source of all consciousness. Now, the most profound challenge lies not in understanding these vast, mind-bending scientific theories, but in gently remembering them when the heavy biological filter of your ego inevitably tries to reassert its control. When you step out of your front door tomorrow and face the frustrating, chaotic realities of human society, it will be incredibly easy to forget that you are an inseparable part of a vast, breathing, quantum organism. The frantic beta waves of your default mode network will try to convince you that you are a fragile, isolated individual, engaged in a desperate, lonely struggle for survival against a cold, indifferent universe. In those heavy, suffocating moments, you must practice the gentle, radical art of remembering. You must consciously choose to disrupt the biological static by simply taking a single deep breath and bringing your awareness to the quiet, steady rhythm of your own heart. You can deliberately slow your brainwaves down, inviting the profound, sweeping calm of the alpha state to gently wash over your mind. You can actively lower the heavy veil, quiet the macroscopic noise, and allow the delicate, ancient quantum computations within your microtubules to reconnect with the eternal frequency of the cosmic field. The legendary astrophysicist Carl Sagan once profoundly noted that the cosmos is within us, that we are made of star stuff, and that we are a way for the universe to know itself. When we pair this beautiful, poetic truth with the rigorous, mind-bending discoveries of modern quantum biology, we completely erase the artificial boundary between the internal realm of human spirituality and the external, objective world of theoretical physics. You are not a tiny, insignificant observer standing on the outside of reality, looking in through a biological window. You are the universe itself, looking out. Every single time you gaze up at the vast, silent canopy of the night sky and feel a sudden, breathless wave of wonder, it is the ancient cosmos localized within your specific biological form, marveling at its own staggering beauty. Every time you offer a quiet, unseen act of kindness to a stranger, it is the universe gently reaching across the illusion of physical space to heal its own localized pain. You are the sensitive, exquisite nerve endings of the mind of God, deployed to experience the absolute miracle of existence on behalf of the infinite whole. This means that your quiet, seemingly ordinary life carries a profound, cosmic weight. You do not need to constantly strive for massive, screaming worldly success, or build towering physical monuments to leave a meaningful mark on reality, because time and space are intimately woven together in the quantum field. Every single gentle thought you have, every moment of deep, unconditional love you experience, and every quiet struggle you bravely endure is permanently and irrevocably etched into the underlying, indestructible architecture of the universe. The vast, unseen network of dark matter and dark energy that makes up 95% of the cosmos might very well be the silent, expansive medium holding these precious quantum memories, ensuring that absolutely nothing of value is ever truly lost. Your existence is a permanent, beautiful note in the ongoing, majestic symphony of creation. You do not need to fight to earn your place in the universe, because you were woven into its deepest mathematical and physical foundations more than 13 billion years ago. As you rest quietly in the comforting embrace of the dark, allow yourself to feel the gentle, invisible threads of quantum entanglement connecting you to everything else in existence. You are intimately tethered to the ancient photons of light, traveling from the furthest galaxies to the quiet, rustling leaves in the dense forests of our fragile blue planet, and to the billions of other localized minds currently dreaming in the silent night. You are part of a vast, beautiful community of cosmic explorers, all trying to make sense of this magnificent mystery together. We are all walking each other home, navigating the complex, sometimes terrifying waters of physical existence, supported by the invisible, unbreakable bonds of our shared, universal consciousness. When you feel lonely, gently remind yourself that absolute isolation is a physical impossibility in an entangled cosmos. The deep, heavy silence that surrounds you is not an empty, terrifying void. It is a warm, rich ocean of pure potential, gently humming with the infinite love of the ancient universe. We have reached the quiet conclusion of this specific journey, but the grand, magnificent exploration of the cosmos is an infinite path that never truly ends. The universe is incredibly generous with its marvels, constantly inviting us to look deeper, to ask more profound questions, and to push the boundaries of what we currently understand. If this quiet, meditative journey through the mysteries of the quantum mind has brought you a sense of peace, or helped you see your place in the cosmos in a new, beautiful light, I gently invite you to become a permanent part of our community of explorers. Please take a quiet moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your own gentle thoughts in the comments below. Let us continue to build a quiet sanctuary of learning, curiosity, and profound awe, supporting each other as we unravel the deep, beautiful secrets of existence in our future journeys together. Now, there is absolutely nothing left for you to do, and nowhere else in the entire universe for you to be. The loud, demanding voices of the outside world can gently wait for tomorrow. Your only task right now is to simply exist, to breathe, and to gently surrender to the magnificent, ancient silence. Let the heavy, rigid boundaries of your physical body soften and melt away, allowing your localized awareness to gently expand outward, filling your room, reaching out past the protective atmosphere of our tiny blue planet, and drifting effortlessly into the vast, warm, and infinite ocean of the cosmic mind. You are infinitely safe, profoundly cherished, and eternally connected to everything that has ever been, and everything that will ever be. May you find deep, restorative rest in the absolute certainty of your own infinite nature. And may you wake tomorrow with a quiet, lingering spark of cosmic wonder, softly lighting your way through the world.